Hi. So I made this input chart with them yesterday, and then today I decided that I was going to do what I learned from Mike Pito, which is to make these little books, which end up being little comic books, but these are about what we've been doing recently, which is the geography of France. So I made this little one about the Département d'Outre-mer, and it talks about just all the things that are basically on this chart. So they're gonna illustrate this, and then we'll have like a little reading that we can use in this class, or maybe we can use it next year. I told them that I was only gonna take the best ones. That's what Mike said to do. So hopefully they'll be motivated to do it. I told them that their homework was actually just to read this to their folks and translate it to their folks, and then their folks are gonna put a note on here to talk about how their student is doing. So that's the only required homework that I'm doing in this class. If they want it illustrated, I told them that they can, and that if they did, it would be kind of like what we did last year, like these picture books that we made. And these kids all had me last year, so they were like, oh yeah, the picture books. So they thought, hey, maybe we could, get famous and have our informational books out there for the kids to read. So that might be motivational to them. If not, it doesn't really matter to me. I don't want to make this like an assignment. I want to make it an exciting thing that honors the kids who want to do the illustrations. So anyway, this all kind of goes together. So I made this input chart and we did it yesterday. It took about, I think, maybe 7 or 8 minutes to give them this input, but you can't just give it to them and let it go by. It needs to come alive. So this chart is now like sort of a textbook page that we can study together a little more. So this is another chance for them to interact with the input. I gave them one in class today because I made 2 of these. One was a little bit different. Here, let me grab one. This one is about different parts of geography. It says it has 5 departments overseas and 12 territories overseas, so she's illustrated that part. We didn't have a lot of time to work on this in this class. We'll finish it up later. So I made 2 of them, but this one, get the markers put back here. This one is the one that's for the homework, for the weekend, for the translation. So anyway, I made this in class, and so we're reinforcing that input by having them interact with this over the weekend. And then I wanted to talk about putting the keywords up here and kind of reviewing it. So what I did was I made sort of like this little packet for myself of these little Post-it notes, and I just kind of thought, like, if I was going to review this, kind of what order would I want these in? And so this is another like sort of guided lecture for me to be able to review this with the kids. So I thought first I would say, this is metropolitan France, it's here in Europe, and that there are 90, I thought there were 95, but apparently they've been splitting them up so that there's 96 departments there, and that the capital is Paris. And the reason that I want to talk about the capital is because the chef-lieu of a department is a different name. And then since the department overseas and mer means sea, I thought I'd point out where the mer Méditerranée is. And then I would tell them that we're going to talk about the 5 départements d'outre-mer. Most of them are islands, so c'est une île. So anyway, as you can see, I just kind of have these in the order that I think they would make sense to talk about. And as I'm talking about them, I will interact with the students. I made a video, but I don't think the camera was on me when I was doing this one over here. So I went back to the back for this one, and I was, talking about I've moved them again, but they were in my hands at that time, and I moved them over here. And then later I can have the students take these, and if I feel ready, these students are second year, so I'm piloting this stuff with them, so they're not quite ready to do the output that they could do later. So, in a 3rd and 4th year class, I if they've had a lot of CI and they're ready, I would put them in a group and give them maybe 2 of these and have them, plan something that they're going to say about it, and then they'd come up and say, le métropole est un nom de France, ou un sobriquet de France. It's a nickname for France. Allemagne est à l'est de la France. So they would just say something like that. So anyway, I just was making these for this one over here, and I thought to myself, well, I should probably just explain kind of the thinking process that goes into this. And I really like using the Post-it notes because now I just basically have this little lesson plan ready to go. All right, thanks.